Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, what's up, No Maniacs? Welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night. I'm your host, Nomad, and I got my guy, the Trustees, with me. The Canuck is here with us, and J2K, who's been with us for the past 2 weeks, who just agreed to be a regular on the show, contingent on when he's not traveling. And so whenever we can get J2K on the show, we'll welcome him. He'll be a part of the show Nomad at Night. And whenever he can get here, man, we'll welcome him with open arms, man. But I'd like to say thank you to him for agreeing to be a part of the network. I appreciate him coming on, man. We're gonna do a lot of big things together, man. We're gonna keep building, doing a bunch of stuff together, man. So everybody give J2K a shout out. Welcome him to the family officially. Man, appreciate you for being here, J2K.
Oh, thank you, man. And I'm really excited to be a part of the show. And what's up to all the Nomaniacs in the chat, all my brothers and sisters. Yeah, happy to be here and excited for this future.
All right. Hey man, you know what, before you get going, kid, let me kind of table this, and if you can help me out with the chat just a little bit, and I'll take it over when I'm done. Let me kind of table this conversation, and the conversation is basically what you saw on the thumbnail, and we're gonna take our time tonight and actually go through the pros and cons of Caleb Williams, and put something out here in the ether that, I'll get a lot of comments after the shows, and me just trying to be fair about everything I do and everything I say. Try to be balanced. This network tries to be balanced. It's no secret that we were big Justin Fields supporters. No secret at all. And I do that again every day of the week, twice on Sunday. I said that before. However, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about Caleb Williams. The pros and cons of who Caleb is as a football player. By the time this show is over, you're gonna find out that if you thought I was anti-Caleb because I was pro-Justin, you're gonna be sadly mistaken. I'm gonna prove to you guys tonight that Caleb Williams has a lot more good to bring to the table than cons. With him being a rookie, I have some details about all of that going forward. And Florida Bears fans, I hope you guys are watching right now, because by the time we're done with the show, they're going to have every reason down there to be worried about the Chicago Bears. I think we're putting something special together, and we're going to talk about it all, about the dynamics of what Caleb brings to the table, and is he ready for the smoke? Because there's going to be a lot of smoke coming his way. They're going to treat him like a rookie. They're going to come after him, and we got some serious contenders in the division. Is he ready for that? Not just the division, but other guys around the league are going to bring it to him. And so is he ready for all of that? This isn't college. This is professional football, man. And he's going to come in with a lot of hoopla surrounding him. Everybody's going to want a piece of it. And so that's what I mean in the thumbnail. But is he ready for the smoke? That wasn't a kind of shot at Caleb like, oh, he's this or that and he's not ready for this level. No. No, it's about the competition level that's going to come at him. And so before we get going, I just wanted to put that out there so people understand what that thumbnail was all about. But before I go any further, let's pass it over to the Canuck to give out some pleasantries.
Yo, No Maniacs. It's Sunday. Thanks for representing with us. Chat's popping already. Let me give some shout outs to some of the heads that are out there. Mr. Mayhem's in the building. Trapper Keeper. Don Burr representing the D Toilet Lions. We got Louis Claudio, Dobbsy 34, J2K in the building. We've got Cliff Victoria, Cornelius Squalls, Ron Winarski, Booby, single Booby, not boobies. We got Ant Mass, Florida Bears fan. Who else we got? Mike Davidson, Patty Laura, Cliff Victoria, Leo Factor. I may have said Cliff twice. Black Diamonds in the building. Hey, King Booker's in the building too. Yo, we got a packed house. Let's keep it moving, man. Let's get into this Caleb conversation and see what Nomad has in store.
J2K, you want to shout anybody out?
Oh man, Ked's got all the Nomaniacs, but just thank you, Nomad, for having me on the show and having me join up and be a part of this. I appreciate it, and yeah, like I said, super excited about the future and all the fun Bears conversations we get to have.
Hey man, I appreciate you, man. Say no more, man. Welcome to the family, man. Let's keep building. Hey,
Nice.
Ken, I'm talking. Just help me out a little bit. So here's the first news, and this is off topic of the Bears conversation. We're just gonna get to a couple little news and notes before we start really breaking this thing down. There's reportedly an offer on the table. I was talking to the guys in the green room before the show that Minnesota has an offer on the table, reportedly, of 2 first rounders and possibly a 3rd first rounder in next year's draft for the what is that, the number 4 pick that Arizona has. So I just wanted to see you guys. I'm gonna say that one more time. And guys, people, let me know in the chat what you guys think of that subject. Do you think there's a quarterback, which I think that's what they're looking for? They have to be, because they have, who's that starting quarterback right now? What's the cat's name? Help me out, Jason. Sam Darnold. So it's got to be a quarterback. And so I'll say that again. You guys let me know in the chat. They've got reportedly 2 first rounders on the table and possibly a 3rd first rounder on the table for that 4th pick. What do you guys think about that, kids?
Okay. So Arizona traded them their 2nd first rounder already. So they're just literally trading back the 23rd pick plus their 11 pick for the 4. So they would have to package something from next year or a player.
No, so I wanted to ask you, kids. I wanted to ask you, do you think there's a quarterback after the 2nd quarterback pick worth all of that? Just wanted to ask you that first.
Yes, I think the quarterback. I think the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft are all high caliber. So if I was Minnesota, absolutely, I would be looking to jump and move up. I'll say both Daniels and shoot. I won't say both. I think Daniels is worth it. I would also say McCarthy might be worth it. I know they like Penix. I'm not sure if Drake May will be around. J2K, what do you think?
I think it's great news for the Bears because you're zapping draft picks from Minnesota for them to go up and get the 4th best quarterback, which I would assume is either JJ or Drake May. And just the cost of that. I mean, that trade sounds like what we would have traded to Caleb Williams, had we kept Justin Fields. So the cost of that trade for Minnesota to move up that much for a quarterback, I think that's good news for the Bears, and it's not a smart move for Minnesota. It's so far and it's so much of your future draft capital. Yeah, I'm all for it.
So I heard I forget I can forget the GM's name all the time. Quessy something, I think. But he's reportedly saying, he had a quote out there saying, just because something is risky, and that is extremely risky, 3 first rounders, even 2 first rounders are risky for a quarterback in the draft. And just because it's risky doesn't mean it's not worth doing. I'm just wondering if they do that, and let's say Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams are gone, that 3rd quarterback, they think, I don't know. Who do you think it might be, kids? Who do you think they might be eyeballing?
So they sent a large contingent out to see Michael Penix Jr. So
Right.
There's that idea.
I would say Michael Penix would be the stay put pick, right? And the trade up would be JJ McCarthy or Drake May. I like JJ McCarthy more than I like Drake May, but I'm far more down on Drake May than most people, which is fine. The guy could prove me wrong. Absolutely.
J2K, you drinking the JJ juice, man?
I like him. I don't know if he's ever going to be, if he's got like the high-end skill set to be a star in the league, but he could be a very good quarterback. And sometimes you see a good quarterback with enough skill set become a great quarterback when he's got players around him, offensive line, wide receivers. But if you trade those 3 first-round draft picks to get him, how do you build that team? So, I know their offensive line isn't all that good. They've been losing defensive players for years because they were stuck in the cap. So I like Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator. I think he gets more out of people just because the scheme is so wild. But, outside of, they got 2 good wide receivers, Madison and Jefferson. Who do they have at running back? Who do they have at tight end? Oh, they got Hawkinson, right? From Detroit a little bit ago. So, I mean, he could do well there, but I just don't see how you can restack the cupboard, so to speak.
It's a crazy. That's a wild amount of capital to give up for a quarterback. You have to be stone cold vicious in your confidence in a quarterback and his ability. I love, as much as I love Penix, man, I can't get over the injury history, man. I feel a certain way about that. As much as I love Latu, I think Latu is the most toolsy, is the toolsiest edge rusher in the draft, easily. But
Right.
That injury history worries me, man. And when you have to make big decisions like this and draft a guy that high, it's not like you can just brush that off and say, okay, that's there, but it's not a big deal. No, that's real. No, you got to get that right, man. You pick a guy that high, you got to get it right. And so, those 2 guys worry me. I'm not saying that would stop a GM from making a move for one of them. And I think they are plenty valuable enough if they can remain healthy. But that's a big if,
Right.
And so that's just my hang up with either one of those guys.
Now, I'm curious. Who can you name has been a quarterback that has been really successful that a team traded multiple first-round picks for, outside of Mahomes?
Nobody comes to mind.
Right? And when we watched the Justin Fields QB class, multiple quarterbacks were traded up for multiple first-round picks. And aside from Zach Wilson, who nobody wants, everybody else is on other teams other than Trevor Lawrence. It just seems like a poor business decision for Minnesota.
It does. But that just shows you how quarterback rich they think this draft is. That shows you how desperate they feel like they are to get the right quarterback for a team that they feel like, with a couple more pieces could compete again. I think minus number 8, I think they're going to be in trouble for at least a year or two. But who knows, man? Somebody can come in there and turn this thing around right away. Who knows, man? But I think the GM is in a hell of a situation, man, because he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. All I know is if it's not successful pretty quickly, I don't think he's got a job here in the next at least 18 months, 12 to 18 months. I think he'll end up on the chopping block. You want to speak to that, kid?
No, I think you covered it, bro. I'll leave it with that.
All right. Before we get into this next conversation, something that we've been waiting on, but that didn't happen. When all the 30 visits were going on, everybody was looking for Jared Verse to come in for a 30 visit with the Bears. Finally scheduled a 30 visit. I think that comes early this week, I believe, fellas. What do you guys think about Jared Verse coming to the Bears for a 30 visit? I was just like, okay, what does that signal? At first, I was like, what does that signal? Them not having him here for a 30 visit. But, now that that's happened, now he's on the schedule. What do you guys think?
I think you definitely got to look at the top 3 pass rushers in this in this draft, and they've looked at all 4. So I can't blame him for that. He should definitely be on your list. I doubt he falls as far as we're sitting, but I would have him in for sure. No questions there. J2K?
Yeah, I really like the top 30 visits we have because we're looking at that bunch of guys who can help out at 9 and into the teens, right? So, whether Latu, Dallas, or Verse or Chop, we get to see how good they are in person, run them through workouts, all that kind of stuff. And then we can grade them and say, we're like, hey, we really like Latu, or, but we think we can trade back a little bit for him, or pick any one of those names. So I like that as a contingency. But if they look at Latu and they're like, this guy is definitely worth the 9th pick, or Verse or Turner, then take him at the 9th pick. We get to, we've got the luxury of knowing how good they are, and the opportunity to move back if you think, hey, we don't think that 4 defensive ends are going to go in the next 5 picks, and we can trade down to 14.
Illinois Jones just asked, did Olu Fashanu come in? I have not heard his name, Illinois Jones. That's one name I have not heard. If it did, it escaped my radar. I haven't heard about it. I've been looking forward to seeing if he would, if he came in on a visit. No, I haven't heard that yet. All right, guys, let me ask this question. Given scheme, given the scheme, who do you rate as the best fit for a 1-2 punch on the other side of Montez Sweat for edge? Given the scheme. And I'm asking you guys in the chat too. Tell me who you think that is. Throw your biases aside. Think about the scheme first and who you think that person's skill set complements what Montez Sweat does on the other side. Who do you think is the best fit?
Oh, you're not listening?
Go ahead, kids.
I thought you were going to list.
Chop Robinson, right?
No, I don't think Chop's the best fit at all. I would just I would appreciate what Eric Washington would do with a Chop Robinson if he's the last guy. But best fit, it's got to be, for me, it's a bit of a toss-up between Verse and Latu. In this scenario, I'm going to say Verse.
A lot of other people.
Well, that's interesting. I got Dallas Turner because, one, and this is outside the conversation of the scheme, is I think he's got the highest athletic upside. And I know that Poles and Flus values that,
love that
high upside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, scheme-wise, I almost would say that Verse is the more complement player as far as 3 downs, run down, pass downs. He's got enough of the toolbox for all 3 downs. But I think that they're looking for someone who's going to get a little more pass rush. And for me, that's Dallas Turner.
That is interesting, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think the most ready, help me out, kids, the most ready, and I think somebody already said it in the chat, the most ready plug and play. And I'm not saying that these other guys aren't ready, but the most prepared, the most toolsy, the guy with the most tricks in his bag and ready to play NFL D linemen, offensive tackles, is Latu. However, given the injury history, I think he's a perfect scheme fit. He's 6'5".
Yeah,
he's 6'5". He's perfect. Minus the injury history, I think it's a slam dunk of a pick. Now, when you consider the injury, and you just got to be honest as a fan and think about it from a general manager's point of view. You know what I mean? How much do they weigh the risk of taking a guy who almost got shut out of football because of how bad his injury was? He played the last couple of years, but that's still there. You know what I mean? And so, if I had to say, let's say the injury didn't happen, and I'd say Latu right away. Because of that, I'm going to say that I think Dallas Turner is the best scheme fit for us right now with what he brings to the table. The speed around the edge, complementing Montez Sweat's speed, the power, and his bull rush, I think complements well. I mean, it's going to create a hell of a situation for a quarterback to try to figure out which one of these guys he wanting to duck. One of them can beat you with speed. The other one can beat you with speed to power and just bull rush a guy right back into you. And so it's a I think it'll be a hell of a dynamic. I look at Dallas Turner's body, and I know for a fact that this kid is gonna. You look at his upper body, man. He's really square, and he can easily put on 10, 12 pounds of muscle. I mean, without even thinking too much about it. Easily, he's gonna get, what is he now? 245. I'd say within a couple years, he's 255, 260 without a problem. Within a couple years of muscle. That's how fast he's gonna grow, man. He's got the frame to really put it on and get much stronger than he is. I think if he's at 9, I think that's your guy. But if I had to rank him by skill set, it'd be Latu first, Dallas Turner, and then Chop. I'm talking about by skill set, not talking about fit, skill set. But the best fit, minus the injury, is probably Latu. But I think that's going to get him in the long run, and he might end up falling just a little bit because of it. Anybody else?
Well, no, I'm kind of right there with you. Go ahead.
You go ahead, kids.
No. Go ahead, Jake.
One I saw Mason Smith, who does Bare Bones, the doctor guy.
Right.
Did I have it right? Yeah.
Mason West.
He put a tweet out saying that the fused vertebrae that he has, you're looking more at a 3 to 5 year issue with him, because eventually when you have impact, that energy needs to transfer somewhere to his body. It can't be absorbed in a fused vertebrae. And so over time, that energy can go to other ligaments or bones or other places. And that's the biggest concern about Latu, is really this long-term, how long he can last in the league until it's injury after injury after injury. So that's my only concern about Latu. The other concern I have, and it's not something, this is something I saw on Twitter, someone mentioned, is be wary of the guy who is beating a 19-year-old kid with the chop swim move, who has no idea how to beat it. But in the NFL, when all else fails, you need to win with power. And that's Jared Verse, right? The guy can just win with power even if his first initial move isn't there. And I think you saw that also with Braylon Trice as well. But he's out of the conversation. So, I mean, I do like Latu. He's got the best hands moves in the draft. My concern is just, what does he look like in 3 to 5 years? Is he getting injured more often, having more issues? And that doesn't seem to like the type of formula that pulls drafts. He tends to hide away from those kind of injury, long-term issue guys. But I could be wrong. There's a lot of guys who have fused discs who play in the league and don't have a problem.
I hope you're right, man. For his sake, I don't want to see any of that happen. I don't want to see him tumble in the draft. I don't want to see, I don't want to see teams not take him and hold that history against him. But the reality of it is, it's a business, and somebody out there is really, most people out there are really strongly considering. You just have to be that. It's a very pragmatic way of going about business, but somebody's going to take a chance on him, no question about it. No question about it. He's going to be on somebody's team and early. It's about who has the biggest cojones to do it, And I don't know that with four picks in the draft, and you got to get those right? Am I right, kids? You got to get those. You got to hit home runs with every last one of them if that's what you end up in the draft with just 4 picks. You got to get those right. And so that would be real ballsy to take a guy like that with your number 9 pick. It really would be ballsy. Anybody want to touch that? Brian, how go ahead.
What's going on, Brian? No. What's up, Brian?
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, my internet's being funky, computers being weird, but hey, life is great. Good seeing you all.
Hey, by the way, I'm glad you asked. Who was that to ask that? Florida Bears fan. Yes, we are going live. Round 1, round 2, round 3 could be fluid because I don't think we have picks there. Yeah, I know for a fact we're going live round 1, round 2. Round 3 could be fluid. Depends on what polls does. Round 3 could be fluid. I don't know if it's, we might just go live just for the hell of it. We might not, because it's not worth doing the show if we don't have any picks. We'd be just doing a show to be talking about other people's picks. But absolutely, Florida Bash fan, we will be going live for the draft. So, Brian, what did you think about that conversation you just heard? Anything you want to chime in on?
My favorite defensive end would be Verse because I think he feels more what the Bears want. He may not be the most fluid or best pass rusher, but I think overall setting the edge and overall defensive end play, he would be the best. What scares me about Latu is you're going from UCLA, the Pac-12, playing 13 games a season to the NFL playing 17 games a season. I hope the young man has a long, fabulous Hall of Fame career. I just don't see it. With an ACL, you're limping, you slow down. With a neck injury, you're talking ended up in a wheelchair. And I don't want to see anybody that. Chop Robinson and Dallas Turner, I think they're phenomenal players, but then are they going to be kind of like what Yannick was and just, they only do one thing, kind of like Richard Dent, why they called him the Colonel, because he only did one thing, one after the quarterback. I want a more complete defensive end, and that's why I like Verse. Also, that kid from Western Michigan, Nealon, that could be an interesting pick down the road.
That is. Louis Castillo asked me a question. He asked me if you can pull that up. I started, kids. I don't have my mouse on me. He asked me a question for the host. What would be your dream draft scenario? I'm assuming you're saying minus getting the haul in the first place. That being out of the way, I'm assuming you're saying with your 4 picks. My dream scenario would be finding a way to if you think highly enough of, help me out in the chat, kids. If you think highly enough of one of those receivers, be it Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, if you think highly enough of one of those 2 guys, be ballsy enough to go into next year's draft capital and move up. That would be my dream scenario. And with the other 2 picks, with the 75 and 122, give yourself some opportunities to move back a little bit and see if you can get some extra capital. Whatever that looks like would be my dream scenario. It would be to see. It would be to see polls have the balls and the conviction to spot one of those guys that he thinks will be a great compliment to Caleb Williams that will be with him for his career. Pick that guy. No matter where you are, have the cojones to get up there and get that guy. If he's out of your range, get in the range and get it. Whether it be Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, or whoever it is. But don't sit there at 9 just expecting good things to happen when you don't see it happening. If you feel the conviction that I believe 100% this guy needs his own receiver to kind of grow with. Keenan Allen is getting ready to be 32 years old. We don't know if we're getting DJ Moore back. That's the facts about the matter. I mean, we wish that we can have those guys for the next 2-3 years. We don't know. This guy, this draft is receiver rich. The talent is exceptional. This is the perfect time to have some stones and go and get this guy the weapon that he needs. It's going to be with him for a long time. That's my dream scenario. Be ballsy, go into next year's capital, move up and get the receiver that you want for this kid. That's what I would do. Anybody else want to speak to that?
Sure. I would dream scenario, given what the situation is, if Ryan Poles can find a way to obviously get the quarterback, a wide receiver to go with him, a defensive edge rusher, and potentially an offensive tackle. I'm a happy guy. I know he's got 4 picks. We've got a little bit of capital next year, but those are the major holes that I see on this team. If he can figure out a means to crush I'll be happy with 3 of them. If he can crush all 4, now we're really cooking with gas. So that's dream scenario for me. Gentlemen?
Brian, what do you think? Brian, did he freeze up on us?
I think you might
I was afraid you was going to pick on me. Let's see.
Well, we were doing it in order, man. You just the next person.
That's fine. Dream scenario would be trade the number 1 to Washington for number 2, get Daniels and whatever Hall, take it from there. Nightmare would be 3 quarterbacks are taken, 3 wide receivers are taken, Joe Wald is taken, and at number 7, number 8, Atlanta picks Verse. Then what the hell do you do? I like the idea if you're getting Williams or Daniels, as far as that goes, getting a quarterback for this year for the simple fact that, you may have Allen on 1 year rental, and he's 32. You got DJ Moore for 2 years, but you don't know if he's going to re-sign. So, you better, since the Pickens is good and this is a wide receiver rich draft, get one of the top 5 guys.
Wait a minute, hold on, Scrolls, man. What the hell is Aaron Hall's first album got to do with this conversation? Oh, he's just saying Aaron Hall. Okay, he's trying to be funny. My bad, man. I read that the wrong way. Hey, King, kids, if you can pull up King Booker World's question. He had a question for us, and he's always contributing, so we gotta get his question up here. He says, I still think they should get another center. You think they should use a pick, or should they sign Williams and let him heal behind the center from the Rams? I think they told us what they want us to know in signing 2 centers. They're not going to draft one. They're not going to draft one this year because they signed. I think Ryan Bates is better than people think he is, and I think they got what's his name? Connor Williams. Is that his name? J2K. Connor Williams.
Connor Williams is the guy who's injured with the ACL.
Right. So what was his injury?
ACL.
I think they know that Bates can hold his job down. I think he's going to be a pleasant surprise to everybody. And
for the Dolphins.
I think Williams was a insurance piece. In case something goes wrong, we got him on the mend, and if all else goes wrong, we got him as a stopgap until we get to the next draft to get a center. I don't think unless something crazy happens, they were able to get some extra capital. I don't see them getting a center whatsoever. I'm not as worried about it as some of us are, King, because I believe in Ryan Bates. I know what that dude can do. I watched him in too many games, play center, play guard. I know he can do the job. It's just about, he's somebody else's second fiddle, and everybody's just worried about we don't have enough. I think he's going to be a pleasant surprise. I really do. Anybody else want to speak to that?
And just to clarify, Coleman Shelton was the guy we signed from the Rams.
Okay.
Connor Williams is the guy who is injured from the Giants, but he's out till week 6, 8, something ish, like that.
My bad. I got that stuff.
No worries. But Chris, actually, to further that about getting a center, we did bring in JPJ and Zach Frazier, and
yes,
we're talking about dream trade scenarios. I take Caleb first overall, but we've got this group of teams at 11 through 14, the Vikings, Broncos, Raiders, and Saints, who any one of those guys could trade up to 9 if JJ McCarthy fell or Drake May fell or somehow Michael Penix, it becomes a top 10 pick or something like that. So trading back to that range, still getting a Dallas Turner or a Jared Verse or a Latu at that range, getting another second round pick and taking a center or taking a wide receiver, something to help the offense, that for me would be a dream scenario.
Yeah. I'm surprised Chris hasn't gotten in here, man, especially when we were talking about defensive end. Chris, you there? Are you available, man?
I am here.
Why didn't you jump in that conversation about who you thought was the best scheme fit, man? I'm
Because you already know. The world already knows. Yeah, man, you know what? I like Jared Verse at 9. Or if they could maybe trade back. I don't think he'll be available much past 9. So I mean, I'd grab him at 9, just because he can set the edge so well. The guy is powerful, and I know we keep talking about his hips are stiff, and I just when I watch his tape, man, his motor's just so high. He's just a player, and so Latu does have he does have the neck fusion, and Dallas Turner's a nice player too. He's a little lighter than I worry about him setting the edge. I just worry about him setting the edge, and I think Verse can do all of that. So, yeah, I've said that how many times on how many different shows now.
While we got you in here, Chris, one of the items I want to bring up before we bring up that thing you downloaded, word is that we're interested in bringing in Ryan Tannehill as our backup. The Bears have heavy interest in Ryan Tannehill as our backup. We'll start with you, Chris, since you just jumped in here. We'll go counterclockwise.
Well, what happened with Mr. Bajan? I saw the guy how he's worked out this offseason, man. He looks like a linebacker. So I don't know I don't know that you bring Ryan Tannehill in. I guess they might have interest in it, but I think you go into the season with Bajan as your backup if they draft Caleb, and continue to develop these guys. I mean, that's just such a forgotten part of football building. It seems like we just don't want to develop people, and the Bears have been guilty of that for years. So I'm hoping that's Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, no.
We go to you, Brian. What do you think about Ryan Tannehill coming in as a backup?
It wouldn't be the worst idea, but it wouldn't be my number one pick. For a backup quarterback, I don't know who I would get, because I understand the logic of trying to ease Williams into the starting position the best you can. But, they kind of crap in their mess kit from the get-go with this whole ordeal, getting rid of Justin as soon as they did. But that's spilt milk now. I guess it's either him or Cam Newton, flip a coin. But if something happens to somebody else, they pretty much wasted all their cap.
Well, they still have the young man they signed.
Ripken.
Yeah, Ripken.
Ripken.
Ripping.
Mm-hmm.
Here he comes to save the day.
Hey.
Yeah.
Go for it, kids. What do you think, man?
He set the world on fire, hasn't he?
Oh, ba-boom.
What do you think about that situation, kids?
Great show, by the way. In any event, I would actually, I'd probably pick up Ryan Tannehill, because you did speak about development. I'm not so sure if this season is going to be about the development of anybody other than Caleb Williams, and if it is, I might be a little bit upset about it. I'd like it to be about the development of that quarterback, not Tyson Bagent. And I'd like it to also be about maybe winning a football game or two. And if Ryan Tannehill can step in and help that out, I got no problems with that. So by all means, bring him to Chicago if you can get him on a good, nice even keel deal. No Mike Glennon stuff, guys. That's all I'm trying to say, really.
Go ahead, J2K.
So Me personally, I do like the idea of Ryan Tannehill just because he's a vet. If we've got a playoff push, Williams goes down, we got someone to step right in and play reasonably well, able to read a defense reasonably well and get us out of a game or two. What I think Poles and Flus and the Bears do is, or what they're doing is actually different. Brett Rippon is actually, from everything I read, everybody raves about this kid's intelligence and being an extra coach in the quarterback room. And I don't think Poles wants anybody who's going to challenge Caleb Williams for that spot as a starting quarterback. And I think we're going to go into it game one with Caleb Williams as the starting quarterback. So I don't see them challenging his potential ego or anything like that. It's like, you're the guy day one. No, you got backups with Bajent and Rippon. They're not going to beat you out in camp. It's you 100% getting all the snaps, and these guys are here to help and assist you. I can see Bajent actually going back to the practice squad, or maybe Rippon goes to practice squad because he's less likely to get taken from another team, and Bajent gets the official backup. So I'm fine with where we're at right now. I don't see Ryan Tannehill, but if it was my team, I would get the vet.
So Dobbsy just said something I hadn't thought about, because here's what I was going to say, Dobbsy. This is exactly what I was going to say. You can't find a better suitable backup quarterback than Ryan Tannehill with the experience he has. As much as I want to sit here and put on for Cam Newton hasn't played in a couple of years, and that's not a absolute knock and saying he's out of consideration. But when you consider the two, Tannehill is an easy. I think he's probably, if like what J2K said, it's a matter of if he sees himself as a backup or if he sees himself as a starter. That either way, it could bode well for competition, where he could push Caleb, and nobody's going to threaten his job. That's going to be his job. This is his job, period. But the question Dobbsy is asking is, so if we get Tannehill, do we sit Caleb for a year? That's a hell of a conversation. That's worth going around the horn with you guys first. Kids, now we've been talking all kinds of stuff about, the ideal thing for a rookie quarterback is to sit if he can and learn as fast as he can before he gets rushed out of the oven, have cooked. That's a conversation we've had on a regular. What do you think about that if we added Tannehill?
Not with this particular, not with Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, like there's other quarterbacks out there that I might make that suggestion for. It wouldn't be with Ryan Tannehill, and part of the reason for that is because he wasn't all that happy where he was at with the quarterbacks who were drafted relatively high in front of him. He came in, didn't really want to train those guys, kind of wanted to do his own thing, and you can't blame him. He was making starter money. He wanted to start. In this scenario, I think he comes in here and he doesn't make starter money. I think he makes backup money. And in that scenario, I would sit him behind Caleb and let Caleb actually do the darn thing. I'm not sure if Flus could survive a season with Ryan Tannehill at the helm.
I guarantee everybody in the chat agrees with your ass, because they like, hell no, that's crazy. Nope, put him out there.
He's got to play. All the moves have been made for Caleb Williams at this point.
Why trade for Keenan Allen if you're not going to play him?
Yeah,
that would make absolutely no sense if they drafted him and then made him sit. You set the roster up to move him along quicker. You're giving him all this talent to play with. Be stupid.
But Chris, you have to agree, Ryan Tannehill is probably got to be the top of the heap if there's got to be a backup out there. I don't disagree with that. If you were in a quarterback hungry position and you needed to pick up a quarterback, I mean, yeah, he's probably the top quarterback out there, but I'm not sure
I'm not sure Ryan Tannehill. I mean, if he's just resigned to the fact that he's going to be a backup in this league still. I mean, he was pretty successful at Miami and Tennessee, so he may be looking to start somewhere. He probably an ideal situation for him would be to wait and see if somebody gets hurt. So I don't know that he. I don't know. I just. I think Bajent probably. I think they can develop him as well as. I think you can develop more than one player at the position.
I'm like Ant Moss, man. If you really think you can make a playoff push, I think it's the perfect sign. Stopgap guy, perfect signing. If you really and truly are serious about making a playoff push, I think it's the perfect sign. And I think Caleb, even if I don't think he needs to ever worry about his job security or anything like that, I think if you can get Ryan Tannehill here with the understanding that, hey, if all else fails, man, we need you to be ready and complete this run. I think it's the perfect signing, as a matter of fact. If they can get a hold of him, I think it'd be a home run, quite frankly.
And Tannehill really fits he's got a ton of experience at RPO. A ton. So he fits, you want to bring Caleb in slowly, bring some of that USC offense with him.
What are you saying, Brian?
This all sounds great. Guys, but you're forgetting about the cap. They got what, like $20-something million, and 14 of it's going to draft picks. Number one, you think Tannehill's just, oh, gee, I can't wait to play for the Bears. Yeah, I'll sign dirt cheap. Hell, give me minimum wage. That ain't going to happen.
We're just talking about the possibilities, man. That's all. That's all we talking about.
No. You got to keep the financials.
Hey,
it's
guess
important.
What? The possibility we could win the lottery.
That's right, Brian. I'm with you. The dollars got to make sense, dog. Here's the thing, though.
Who pissed in your Cheerios today, though?
he's keeping it real.
Like try being realistic.
That's it.
Well, realistically, we could sign him to a 2-year contract, and the bulk of the money could be in the second year. So, and I don't think he's going to cost as much as. I don't think he's the $14 million backup quarterback. Put it that way.
They could also let go of a couple of.
And then you cut yourself so cheap that if you had an injury somewhere, you're screwed.
No, they can cut, like there's a couple of heads there, like Dominique Robinson, that they could part ways with to shave off a couple of bucks to bring in a guy.
Dominic, like Larry Borum, you can get it.
Hold on, Brian. Hold on. I know you got a lot to say, but hold on. Go ahead, kids. Finish up.
No, I was just saying there are bodies there that may not make it out of camp, right? Out of training camp. If they don't make it out of training camp, that those financials could make it possible for Ryan Tannehill signing. Again, as long as he's not trying to command starter money. If he's commanding starter money, you roll with Bajent, call it a day.
Yeah, and Keds is right. When I looked at the roster and the bottom of the roster, there's about 10 guys who easily could lose their jobs, and that's, guaranteed money. That's about 10 million out of those 10 guys. Yeah. So there is some flexibility. Obviously I think we're just kind of throwing it out there. Is Tannehill a good fit? Is he, still got some gas in the tank? Would he be a backup? I wouldn't hate the decision. I just, from what I see from polls, I think he's going to roll with Caleb day one.
All right. How about this, man, kids? If you can help me out here. Chris, if you don't mind pulling up. So our guy, the good doc, Dr. Mason West, put this on Twitter. He put this on Twitter, and I grabbed it, and this is courtesy of Dr. Mason West. I hope he doesn't mind us using this. But he threw basically, this is an AI draft, artificial intelligence draft versus it was probably the worst draft I've ever seen. Somebody at ESPN mocked the draft, and that thing was awful. I mean, awful. I don't know who did that draft, but it was absolutely so non-realistic. It was just, if you look at it and it's just going to make you laugh, just like Brian just did. It was awful. But here is the AI draft, man, kids. If you wanna read through this, because you like to narrate stuff like this, you want to read through this, and we'll just go over this a little bit. Does this seem more realistic? This is very realistic in my opinion.
All right. So 2024 NFL AI draft.
Before you go, kid, let
of-
me ask everybody in the chat: can you guys see this? Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Can you see the graphic on the screen? Thumbs up
Yeah,
or
they
thumbs
should
down?
You can see it. Yeah. All right. It's 2024 AI draft, courtesy of Dr. Mason West. First overall pick, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. Second overall pick, the Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU. Third overall pick, trade the Vikings from the Patriots. Oh, interesting. Things just got interesting. This I could actually see happening. Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina, goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Fourth overall pick, Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr., selected, wide receiver, Ohio State. Trade, fifth overall pick, Giants from the Broncos, J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan. Sixth overall pick, Chargers, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU. Seventh overall pick, Tennessee Titans select Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. Eighth overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Jared Verse, edge rusher, Florida State. With the number 9 pick in the 2024 draft, Chicago Bears select Dallas Turner, edge rusher, Alabama. 10th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Clemson. And with the 11th pick, the Vikings from the Patriots select Brock Bowers, tight end. 12th pick in the 2024 NFL draft goes to the Houston Texans. They select Olufashanu, offensive tackle. Almost tried the full first name. I had to back up.
Okay, appreciate
That's
that.
top 12.
I appreciate that, kids. We're gonna get back to we'll get some of these chats up in a minute, but for a minute, we're gonna talk about this for a minute because I don't know anything here. Let me before I get to talking, kids. What, if anything, sticks out to you as if there's a surprise there? What sticks out to you? This is artificial intelligence, guys. This is what the AI is thinking is going to happen.
What sticks out to me? Almost like very, very little, except for the Vikings trade. Vikings trade jumps out to me. It also jumps out by way of the Patriots making a trade like this. Doesn't really sound like a Patriots thing to do. Patriots are hurting, and maybe they're in for the haul and not necessarily sold on the quarterback at present. I've not been paying attention to what the Patriots are doing in this draft, mainly because under normal pretenses, I hate all things Boston. I'm sorry, Boston. In any in any event, man, yeah, that would be a crazy situation. It would set the Patriots up for quite a haul. They would not likely be getting a quarterback out of all of this, especially because they didn't get that 11th pick out of that haul. How do they make a trade here? Yeah, this trade is not this is the AI lost the plot.
Go ahead, Brian. What do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, the chat said it. There's no Roma Dunze.
No Roma Dunze. Hey, you know what?
There's no Roma Dunze.
Hey, man. Roma Dunze is high on a lot of people's draft boards, but we ain't none of them GMs, so we don't get to see there. So if J2K, what is it? Anything here that strikes you as odd, or anything on here that tickles your fancy a little bit?
Well, the AI got one thing wrong. The Vikings are trading up. They don't have the 11th pick.
That's exactly what I was saying. So thank you.
The Patriots have that pick. Yeah. So because at first I was like, why would you draft Brock Bowers when you already have T.J. Hawkinson? And then I looked at the draft order and I was like, wait a minute, Vikings are training the 23rd and the 11th to move up, so that would be the Patriots pick. So that AI made a typo, whatever. I'm not as surprised that Odunze is not on this top 12 list. And I've been saying this for a little bit. I do like him. I do like him a lot.
And for that matter, J2K, where's Latu at?
Latu also is not there, but that also makes some sense to me. One thing about Odunze is Steve Smith just came out and said what I've been saying for a while now. And there are some concerns about Odunze that I think people are really overlooking, and it's his overall separation and against Pac-12 cornerbacks. So while he does have a huge contested catch percentage success rate, I think that's a double-edged sword because you see that he's not creating separation. And Steve Smith came out and said he liked Polk more than he liked Odunze. So, I think Steve Smith is a great evaluator. I've loved everything that he said. And that fits with my theory of Odunze being a little more in those teens area of the draft. A lot of people think that he's going to go before our 9th pick. I think he's going to be there. Latu, I think one of the issues that's the overall athleticism isn't quite there. I think he's a technician. He did great in college, but that higher upside is a little bit limiting compared to Dallas Turner. And when you add in the injury history, I think that knocks him down a little bit. I don't think this list is all that bad, to be honest. Vikings trading up 2-3, losing 2 first rounds this year, obviously another first round next year, potentially more for Drake May. Oh, I would love them to do that because I'm not high on Drake May, but that's more of a personal opinion than I could be wrong. He's a great kid, got the size, got the arm strength. I just don't think he plays smart.
It's just peanut butter and jelly to me, man. Pretty regular. You know what? I'm gonna go through this. And
wait a minute, I got something to add to what J2K just said.
Go ahead.
What do you got, Brian?
This is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence cannot scout a player as far as watching them play and determine whether they're good or not. All they can do is take information. You go to most mock drafts, and Rome Odunze and Latu are top 15 picks. How come they're not on this? To me, that's fishy.
Said by Mr. Obvious. That's a lot of people who think that, but this is AI. One thing about AI, man. I work with Chris sometimes and watch him do certain things. I don't know anything about AI. Chris is dabbling in it, and AI comes out with some abnormalities at times. When you put something in AI to get a response from it, it'll come back with some abnormalities based on what you gave the AI to respond to. Sometimes, but then sometimes, man, like I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna go through this step by step, and I'll tell you if I think it's like can't see it happening. Bears drafting Caleb Williams. Yep. Commanders taking Jaden Daniels at 2. Yep. Vikings trading with the Patriots to get the number 3 pick. I think the Patriots, that seems strange, but I think the Patriots feel like they can get a quarterback later on in the draft and do well with it, and they might take the capital because they're trying to rebuild the team. So I actually think that they would do that. I absolutely think they would do that because they're in the team building, remaking the team process, and they need more capital. More capital, what means what? You get to turn around your team faster. You got a young black head coach that's only going to get a couple years, and the faster he turns that thing around, the more time he gives himself as the coach of that team to stay there. He's got to get that thing turned around in a couple years, not 3-4 years. No, he's got to get that thing turned around in a couple years. And so, absolutely, I can see that happening in for the Patriots. For the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison. Yep. Giants they traded up with the Broncos and drafted J.J. McCarthy. That's odd, but I could see that happening too. I believe a little bit more in Daniel Jones than most people. Chargers taking Malik Neighbors. It's strange to see Malik Neighbors down at 6, but I can actually see that happening too. Titans taking Joe Alt at 7. Yep. Falcons taking Verse at 8. Yep. Bears taking Dallas Turner if he's still there at 9. Yep. Jaguars taking Nate Wiggins at 10. Yep. Who is that? Let me take this comment now.
Brock Bowers to the Patriots.
The Vikings.
Or to the Patriots. That's a typo by the
Patriots. Yeah, I definitely can see that happening. And then the Texans taking Olu Fashanu. There's not a whole lot there that I can disagree with. It's not a lot there, man. I can actually see reasons for every one of those picks to happen. I heard everybody and what everybody had to say. They had valid points. The Patriots don't have a history of doing certain things, but just got to remember, Bill Belichick was there running football operations at that time. Bill Belichick is no longer there. And so all options are on the table. We don't know how Gerard Mayo is going to operate, and I don't even know who the GM is. J2K, do you know?
For the Vikings?
No, the Patriots.
New England.
Oh man, tip of my tongue. I can see his face. I can't remember right now.
Elliot Wolf.
And he's got I know he's got a background that I'm familiar with. I just can't. I'm having a brain fart right now. But
his dad was GM of the Packers.
Yes,
that's where it's from.
There it
I
is.
remember the last name.
That's where the name strikes with me. But we just don't know how these guys are going to operate. But if the rule of thumb, if you were to go back and history says Kids is right, the Patriots don't operate like that. But that was a guy running the operations that's no longer there. We got to consider that. But either way, it was worth the conversation. How about this, man? Let's get to a station ID, and we'll get into the meat and bones of this conversation about Caleb Williams and what to look forward to next year.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff, and Nomad at Night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
That is right, you guys, man. See if you can take down that thing there. Hey, thank you guys for all the support. We're you know what? I just want to say this, man. The offseason is a really, really, really difficult time, especially this time of the year between the end of the year, right between free agency and draft is just a really dead space out there. And it's hard to come up with the content that you need to keep your viewers happy, and I think we've been doing a pretty good job at doing that, man. We do content every single day except for Saturday, and I think we do a good job at delivering on that. I think we do our job keeping the conversations interesting. I think we and this is just me being honest with the viewers and being upfront with what I think is going on. I think everybody's struggling with views right now, unless you're doing clickbait stuff. You're probably struggling because Bears content is not that interesting right now. But coming up pretty soon is going to start ramping up another notch. So, how about this? Anybody that's in the show right now, we've got 93 people I'm looking at, anywhere between 93 and 106 people at any given time during the show. But we can get at least 40, 45 people, to at least half of those people, to go ahead and hit the like, that would be great, man. It just tells the algorithm that we're here and you like the content. If you do nothing else, and if you're new to the channel, man, if you like the content, if you think we've been doing our job keeping you conversations going and having good shows for you each and every day. If you think we're worth a subscription, please consider doing that because I feel like I'm pretty cocky. I feel like we do our job every day. I think we do it well, better than a whole bunch of people that have producers and all these paid people that do all these. This is people that are here on their own free will, doing things for us and trying to help build this network on their own free will. And with that, we present this, and I think we do it well. So if you have not subscribed to the channel and you're sitting there thinking about it, please consider that. And if you like this content, man, just give us a sub. We would really, really appreciate it. We'd like to get to 2,000 before training camp. That would be great to see that. Look up overnight and see a jump in subscriptions would be great, man. So just consider that when every time you come to the show, just remember other people have big companies behind them that get paid. We do this every day, and it's all just on the love of what we do for you guys, man. Consider that. And so with that being said, I want to get into this next conversation because I think we spend a lot of time supporting Justin Fields. I said this at the beginning of the show. I don't regret it. If I had to do over, I'd do it again because I thought he was worthy of it. Does Justin Fields have flaws? Justin Fields has some serious flaws at times. I thought he was a good enough player to invest in. Obviously, Poles thought that he probably felt the same way, but he felt like under the circumstances, this is the best way to go. Get a young quarterback, start over with this contract, and really build this team. But we're not gonna take that statement and say that's the reason why we got Caleb. We're gonna take it to the tape. We're gonna take it to the tape, and we're gonna give you the real pros and cons of why I think they grabbed Caleb Williams. We're gonna take the good, we're gonna take the bad, because there's two sides to every coin. There's two sides of every coin. And by the time we're done talking, I'm guaranteeing you guys, you will be convinced that there is more pro to the move to draft Caleb, a lot more pro than there is cons. The cons exist, but the pros outweigh them by a lot. And we're gonna get into them all. And so before we go there, I want to ask you guys something. And it's just be honest, kids. You're on mute right now. Do schemes make players, or do players make schemes?
Players make schemes. Schemes are meant to be executed. Therefore, players make. You can direct a scheme. You can have a scheme filled out in a specific manner. You can have the right players in the right scheme, and that's a powerful situation. But again, it's up to players. It's up to the players to execute whatever scheme they're in. Same token, it is also up to the coach to put the players in the correct positions within the scheme, or modify the scheme for the players that they have. Throw it down to you, Brian.
What do you got in the chat, by the way?
You pretty
What do
much
you think?
answered everything. I would say.
Go ahead, Brian. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just you got that lag going on. How about this? How about this, man? We're going to pull Brian for a second, man, because he's got a huge lag right now. Just try to, I don't know what you can do to restart that, Brian. Just try to do something, man. We'll try to bring you back in, but that lag is big. J2K, what do you think about that before I start running my mouth?
I think it goes both ways, but I think you need talent on one of two sides. So initially, when you first said that, I thought about Jim Harbaugh with Colin Kaepernick. He made him a championship quarterback and got to the Super Bowl with them out of a RPO scheme that was relatively new to the NFL. And I know that there's all these other reasons why Kaepernick, he was blacklisted by owners. Let's just be real about that. But at the same time, there have been other players who have been schemed up because of their ability. I think Ryan Tannehill actually was at a point in time in Miami, he was schemed up because of his RPO ability. In Tennessee, he became a little bit more of a quarterback. But when I look at Caleb Williams, I don't want scheme to dictate Caleb. I want Caleb to fit into whatever we need to do to win. And he doesn't appear to me as a guy who you need to affect the scheme to get him to play up. Justin Fields, we saw Getsy all of a sudden throw in, realize like game 7, year 2, that why don't we make Justin Field a runner and throw in some of these RPOs and these obvious run plays. So I didn't like that too much from Getsy. I don't like how Getsy handled that situation. I think a better offensive coordinator could have gotten more out of Justin, given his skill set. But with Caleb, I think that's a different story. We can get into the mechanics and all the things that I really like about Caleb and how far ahead he is as far as a college quarterback going to the NFL. But overall, I want Caleb to have some kind of a buffer coming into the NFL with some of the air raid system that he had just sprinkled in so he's comfortable. But overall, I really want us to I want Waldron to create the offense he wants to create, and Caleb executes that offense.
Okay, I'll make a. There's players will tell you that schemes make players. All you had to do is fit yourself into the mode of what that offensive coordinator is asking out of you. And there's argument for, you need good players to make your scheme work. You can have arguments for either side of this. I'm of the impression that, it's argument, like I said, it's an argument for either side of that coin. What I'm getting at is, even if you feel strongly about your scheme and you feel like your scheme is diverse enough, does it need to be pliable, kids? Does it need to be pliable? What do I mean by pliable? For anybody that doesn't know what that means, does it need to be bendable? Can it be adjusted to fit what someone else does? The key piece, the key cog in your engine, the key guy that you have operating the thing. Does that scheme allow you for it to be pliable? Can Waldron be pliable to what Caleb Williams brings to the table?
I don't know. Like when you talk about a scheme under normal pretenses, you want the scheme to be what it is and fit players into it. But if that doesn't work, you then it puts, and we've seen evidence of this, right? You're then putting added pressure on the coach to then actually be a schemer, right? So now you have to scheme your scheme, right? You have to write it around the way that a player works or fits into it, and make it, again, as you said, pliable or malleable is another good word, to really mold it around that player's attributes. Guys who can do that are the upper echelon of coaches out there in the NFL. I'm not so certain that Shane Waldron just happens to be that guy. Maybe other people are certain that he is. I'm really not trying to throw darts at Shane Waldron. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he's versed enough. The guys that come to mind are like Sean McVay and Shanahan. These are guys who can definitely take their existing scheme, modify it, and change it and flip it into something else as required. I'm not so sure we have that guy here, but maybe J2K thinks differently. What are your thoughts on Waldron and his ability to be malleable?
Oh, I actually think he is very much so. I think when you look at Seattle and you look at when their offensive line got hit by a ton of injuries, and it wasn't ever that great of an offensive line to begin with, and he started moving tight ends, split backfield tight ends, having them chip and release and doing all sorts of things to delay that pass rush. So, I see that. And I also think that what he did with Geno Stone was malleable, because he took a guy who didn't make much of a career and then suddenly made him have success. And I don't think that was Geno fitting in Waldron's system and suddenly having success. I think that was Waldron being malleable and fitting Geno into his system and making it work for him. And to further the point, when you bring up Sean McVay, I watched this fantastic series of plays. Someone broke down all 22 of how he used Puka Naguka. Did I get that name right? I think so. But he had him, on these jet seat motions and all this kind of stuff, and had him releasing up the B gap. And it was these series of plays. So he was coming out of the B gap, putting blocks on the linebackers, putting on blocks on the safeties who are in the box. And then out of that were pass plays. But the formations, the look, the motions were all the same. And it just confused everybody. So when you talk about a brilliant schemer, play design, mind, if Waldron has that from McVay, which he comes from that system, comes from the Shanahan system, if he can do that with what Caleb can offer, I see a ton of upside, and I do see an OC that is malleable and do what Getsy never really could do. Never could adjust. I think Jay Sanders put in the chat that, his scripted plays were very successful. I think we're number 2 in the league at scripted plays, or first quarter touchdowns or first drive touchdowns. We were number 2 in the league, but he couldn't figure out how to get to a plan B once the defense figured it out. I think Waldron is different. I think he's better at that, but at the same time, I haven't watched, as much tape as I've watched of the Bears as Seattle. So I'm still a wait and see, but I am optimistic with Waldron.
All right, because you kind of led into some conversation that I'm about to open up a can, because I want to hear my bad news first. Give me my bad news right away. And the bad news about Caleb isn't the worst thing in the world, because you know why? He's what, 22, 23 years old, and he's the worst thing I've seen on tape with Caleb, and this is gonna carry on with him. Is he, if this makes sense to you guys, he's a little too confident in his arm talent. When you have extreme arm talent like that, you have the tendency. I've been around a guy like that in college, man. I had 2 guys, one from Buffalo, one from Hampton, Virginia, on our team. Extremely talented arm talented guys. They were so arm talented that they believed in every single throw that they could make, even if it was in a needle hole window. They thought that they could make that throw because they're that talented at the arm. You can see those traits in Caleb. And, one he's going to have to learn really quickly. And I'll go back to the Notre Dame game. And Notre Dame was doing nothing really creative. They were just sending the extra guy. So they go down with 4 front and then send an extra guy, whether it was a cornerback on a cannon blitz or something like that he didn't see coming from his blind side, and decided like that. I think it was the second pick during the Notre Dame game when he threw it right into the middle of the field into 2 guys that he should have never threw that ball. He should have threw it away or just eat it. He just threw that ball because he didn't want to get hit. That kind of thing is going to happen to him in the league. And I don't think you can really, you can coach that out of him, that part of it out of him, but you can't coach him out of him believing in his arm talent. And it's enormous. He's got enormous arm talent, and in ways that can really benefit us. But that part of him, he is so confident in his arm strength and his ability to be able to fit a ball in places that most people can't. It's going to get him in trouble from time to time. Another thing was he's going to have to sit down with the coaches, and he's going to have to learn to identify, especially blitzes. he's going to have to identify the safety that can give him an indicator, and he's going to have to identify a linebacker that can give him an indicator. The center will help him with some of that. It will help him with some of it, but with not all of it, because after the snap, post snap, there's going to be things changing. Defenses are real creative about confusing a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, and making him do things that he doesn't want to do. And Caleb is one of his strengths is he keeps his chin up and keeps looking downfield, so the deep play is always live. And so he doesn't scramble to run; he scrambles to throw the ball. But let's stop at that. Notre Dame didn't do anything complicated. They just basically did some zone blitzes to him, got tight man-to-man, and fell back in some zones and made him look silly out there. And he threw 3 picks, and everybody chided that kid about that game. It was a bad-looking game. But people won't let him forget that. That thing is on tape, and defenses are gonna do the same things to him in the NFL, but on a different level. So he's got to be ready for that. What do you guys think about what I just said?
None of it. For me, it's of no consequence, and there's. I look at the quarterback as a position that requires a certain level of confidence, a much higher level of confidence than most of the other positions on the field, and you have to have that confidence in throwing into tight windows in the NFL. And I'll be very frank in stating this now. Justin Fields did not have that kind of confidence in his ability to throw the football. Let's be very clear about that. When it came to throwing the football into tight windows in the middle of the field, and I'm being very specific here, right? In the middle of the field, he wasn't really willing to do it. He'll do it, back shoulder. There's things that Justin could do, but again, you could clearly see from a confidence perspective, he had that worry. I'm gonna throw a pick here. So did Mitch, and that was part of what I was worried about with him. And to be quite frank, this is going to be a developmental year for us all. Bears fans, Bears players, Caleb Williams, Bears coaches across the board. I want Caleb to go out there and throw some interceptions, guys. Let's just be completely real about that. He's gonna. I want to see him go out there and have the wherewithal to see that tight window and test it. The only way for him to figure it out, unfortunately, is to make a couple of mistakes. But I would rather him have that level of confidence and go out there and give it the attempt in order to master it.
Hey, real quick before you go, J2K, Bear Truth 9 says Waldron needs to have answers for that. Riley didn't. I'm going to get into that because I got that written down as one of the notes. And and this goes to some of the pros of having Waldron as your offensive coordinator. You look at that game in particular, that Notre Dame game. Look at how many crossing patterns when he was in trouble that you saw before he threw those picks. You didn't see very many of them. There were a bunch of boundary throws and different things like that. There was no crossing pattern, no picks, no rubs, no anything to get a guy open so that he had an opportunity to get that ball out of his hand quick. He was holding on that ball too long because the routes were late-breaking routes, kind of like what was going on with Justin this year. There was a lot of that crap going on during that game. And so I don't hold him wholly responsible for that Notre Dame game. That half was horrible, but I don't hold him wholly responsible for it. Some of that is due to scheming, but that's part of what we're going to be talking about next. And so here's my next part of the conversation. It was hold on just 1 second. They overlooked
really quick, Nomad. I just wanted to jump out and say, I think you hit it nail on the head with, I think Notre Dame out-schemed USC. And absolutely. I think Caleb got a little lost in what he was looking at and started forcing the ball.
That's true. It was all scheme. So here's what I want to add to this conversation. Here's what the addition of Shane Waldron will help you do. If anybody thinks, for anybody that wants to chime in the chat, Geno Smith. Now think about this. Geno Smith had the advantage of sitting behind Russell Wilson for a couple, 2-3 years with Shane Waldron as the offensive coordinator. Couple years at least, right? And he had that benefit before he became the starter. I don't think anybody in the world would say that Geno Smith's talents are higher than Caleb Williams. I don't think anybody would. But given the situation, Geno was more efficient at what Shane Waldron wanted to do than Caleb will be right away. Why? Because he had the opportunity to sit there and watch. This is where I think Shane Waldron helps. Shane Waldron is really, really, really good at getting, like, they beat Cleveland. Cleveland, you talk about the teams that are going to really give Caleb Williams problems. It's going to be teams like Minnesota and Brian Flores with those wild blitz packages and, you know, just the zone blitz packages and the man-to-man coverage off the blitzes. It's going to really, really put him in flux early in games, man. It's going to be, they're going to come after him hard. They're going to come after him fast. And where Shane Waldron, they beat Cleveland, who was the number one team in the league in defense, number one team in the league. Seattle beat them mainly because Shane Waldron schemed that thing up right to give Geno Smith the opportunity to know exactly where he was going with that ball before it got into his hands. Well, how did he do that? What he did was, just say for instance, and I'm gonna, and you guys just bear with me. We don't have any film here to show you. Film gets you in trouble in the YouTube world if it's not all 22. But on film, you can see Shane Waldron. Just imagine a twin situation, too high. So that means two receivers on one side, twins on one side, one receiver on the other side. Say that was on the right side, you had the two receivers. And so what Shane Waldron did was scheme up those rub routes to get a receiver like, say, a DJ Moore open, rub him loose, and so that before that ball gets into Caleb Williams' hands, he knows that scheme is designed for him to get on a crossing pattern, going right across his face and dump it off, and him run for the next 30 yards or so. Shane Waldron was excellent at that. That's what makes him uniquely qualified to take a rookie quarterback and exemplify what he can do well. He knows he's going to get a whole lot of pressure. Shane Waldron can scheme this thing up, and we've got two guys that can really feed off of one another. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, absolutely, if you put them in twin sets, that's a problem on that side of the field. And if they decide to do rub and pick routes to get one of those guys open and one of them be kind of a decoy, man, Shane Waldron can set this kid up for success early, very early. And so do I think Caleb Williams is going to struggle? Yes. Does he have some cons? Yes. Shane Waldron is going to be a benefactor to what Caleb Williams brings to the table. Any of you guys got any thoughts or comments to what I just said there?
I'll let J2K touch this one.
I think overall, just the talent of the team for a team taking quarterback number one overall, this is a rare situation. And I think Waldron's also in that rare situation where he does have a much better team than any other team has ever drafted a quarterback first overall has. And he's got two good receivers. I think we've got a good running back room. I think we've got good tight ends. I think our offensive line, I think it is very serviceable at the moment. I would love for another draft pick to create some more competition. Our wide receiver room next year or this year is very good. And now, granted, Allen's 1 year, DJ's 2 years. We would like someone to grow with Caleb. But as far as just going into next season, I think it's a great situation for everybody.
Go ahead, Brian. You got anything to say to everything that was said? I know you fell out for a minute.
I don't know how well things are going to work, but yeah, Caleb is coming into an ideal situation with the wide receivers, with the running back room, with the tight ends. And with Waldron, I think Waldron will get the best out of him. As long as those two are willing to work with each other, it could be a beautiful thing, or it could be turd in a punch bowl.
Well, we don't think it's going to be a turd in a punch bowl. All right. I talked about enough cons. And I think when you look at Caleb is just going to be a rookie. And until he sits down with the coach and the coach comes up with the plan that helps him in those situations where he's going to see those blitz packages and they're going to send extra people to overload the front. I think Shane Waldron is an excellent on passing downs, getting the pass, getting that guy, getting the pass pro situated, getting that under order. And so that quarterback has time and he feels comfortable back there. I think he's one of the better pass pro design offensive coordinators when there's passing plays in the league. I'll say that again. I think he's one of the better offensive coordinators when it comes down to passing downs, getting the pass protection right. I think he's one of the better ones in the league. Caleb Williams is going to benefit from his ability to do that. When you can do that, when you can perform like Geno Smith performed against the Browns, who had the number one team in the league, and they were just absolutely wrecking teams, absolutely wrecking them. And he exposed them. He exposed them and given Geno opportunities to do what? Know where the ball was going before it hits his hands. He knew where that ball was going before he touched his hands. That's good scheming. And most of it was crossing patterns. And so what is that? That's absolutely what Luke Getsy was deficient at. Designing plays that give the quarterback the easiest opportunity. Those crossing patterns, they weren't there for Justin Fields. Not a whole lot. Not until like late in the season this year, kids. I see you.
So we got to ask why, though, right? Like, why weren't those crossing patterns in play? And unfortunately, I think that it's all
the same reason why Justin's biggest deficiency was the quick game, throwing the ball out fast on those screen passes. They knew that was his deficiency. So what do? Expose him, throw a bunch of them at him. That's what they did. They screwed him.
Well, in this scenario, I'm and I hate to put blame on a man, but I kind of got to put blame on both Braxton Jones and the center position, right? That's, to me, that's where that crossing pattern becomes a little bit flaky, and that's where that quick release for Justin turns into a scramble, right? I'm not so sure if it would, like, I can't blame crossing pattern, like, and I'll tell you what. I can't blame crossing pattern scheming as an issue for Luke Getsy because he did it for years in Green Bay. Like, not just Aaron Jones, but Devontae Adams. Those two guys on a crossing pattern is just a dagger in the heart for Chicago fans all day long. He was doing it without an issue. And there was one solid game, just one. And I was like, where did this come from and why? There was one game where he had DJ Moore in the slot. He ran a couple of slants out of there, and I think it was a Tyson Bagent game, actually. I might be wrong, but he ran a couple of crossing patterns too, and that was all Getsy's scheming. It just happened to work that day. For the most part, I have to put it on the offensive line not being able to provide enough pass protection. Not to say that they're not a really good group when we're running the ball. But I don't think they were providing enough pass protection for Justin Fields last season. I hope we'll see a second or two more for Caleb Williams. I think we might give an additional chip from a Gerald Everett, but we'll have to see what Shane Waldron cooks up here, man, because I can't. It doesn't make any sense for me to watch Getsy scheme crossers and have it work, and then have him not do it for the rest of the season and have us all scratching our head, and then go back and look at what he did in Green Bay and know he did crossers religiously. That's what they do. I don't understand why it disappeared in Chicago. My only answer to that is that likely he just didn't trust Justin Fields to be able to accomplish it, or the offensive line.
And kids, to piggyback off of what you're saying, what I saw was versus zone coverage, Fields taking a little bit of a hitch or feeling uncomfortable throwing against leverage in those zones. So he doesn't know if the linebacker is going to go this way or this way. He didn't quite trust it. And with the longer throwing motion, and Fields was also a laces quarterback. He wanted to have his fingers on the laces, which takes time to get that ball right. It's got the longer motion. So Fields never really felt comfortable throwing into those windows in that intermediate short zone area, which, I question Caleb's ability to do that as well. My biggest beef with Caleb, his deficiency, is the happy feet and not throwing to the first open guy he sees immediately. A lot of those pressures that I saw Caleb get in college were, he had a guy who was open on a slant. And it's similar conversations to what we're having about Justin Fields. The difference with Caleb and Fields is Caleb's release, his mechanics, his arm motion is far more compact. And I think his feet are also better. Comparatively coming out, basically. But overall, I think you're starting with a better toolsy quarterback as far as technique. And while Caleb didn't get the ball out as quickly as I would have liked to the first open guy, he has the ability to do that.
Okay. J2K, he just walked me right into the conversation. This is where I want you guys to get interactive in the chat. Agree with me or not. And I know we got smart Bears. We got Bears viewers in here that they do their own homework and they look at the tape just as well as we do. I know we got high IQ football people in the chat. I know we do. I can just look at some of the stuff that's being said right now. Some of the stuff is nonsense. Some of y'all are going crazy, but I know that some of the stuff in the chat tells me that I know that we have high IQ football people in the chat. So as I'm going through line by line my notes here, and these are the pros of Caleb Williams, and these pros, all the stuff we just said previously, these pros I feel absolutely 100% outweigh the cons. Caleb Williams and his ability to ad-lib when plays break down. He scrambles with the intent to keep his chin up and get that big play down the field, get that ball out of his hand downfield, as opposed to Justin. At first, when I think that changed for Justin later on in the season, but I digress. Justin's not here anymore. Let's talk about Caleb. That ability to do that and scramble and move around in and out of the pocket, like you'll see him dart up and you'll think he's going to take off for 15 yards and get a first down. He'll dart up and then come all the way back just so he can have a play, that ad-lib play to go down the field a little bit. That is unique. That is a gift. That is one of those things that makes Mahomes special, to be able to do that, get in and out of the pocket freely, move around, have a sense and a feel for a pocket presence, and deliver a ball in ways with the arm talent that he has. That's the kind of stuff that does defenses dirty and drives defensive coordinators dirty. I see that play. I see that ability in him. And in that same game, in that Notre Dame game, later on during that game, you saw in the second half some of that stuff come to life. And so he's gritty, he's tough, and he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. He never feels like he's out of a game, and he has the ability to come back and really do a defense dirty. That ability to ad-lib and really strike teams in a way that we hadn't seen in Justin Fields. Justin never developed and got there. You've seen a few plays like that, but Caleb Williams has a special trait to him. That ability to ad-lib and destroy defenses, just ad-libbing, I think is special. I'll just stop right there and let you guys respond to that.
You're right. Well, there's something that Justin became accustomed to, and that was truly tucking and running. And when I say tucking, he tucks his head, right? tucks the ball, tucks his head, and then he goes, as opposed to running with his head up, looking for a pass. When Caleb starts to go, his head's still up, and you guys will notice this, and you notice it on all the film. He keeps his head up. He's looking to go somewhere with that ball. He's looking to hit a receiver, and when there's no receiver, finally, okay, yeah, I'll run it down the line. I'll take the yardage that's available to me, or I'll whip the ball out of bounds. And that, even just that, throwing the ball out of bounds when the play is dead, recognizing when the play is dead, is it's going to be a bit of a breath of fresh air. It's one of those things that, again, in my opinion, Justin just did not gain, and I think he's much like you just said a moment ago. I think he started to get that towards the last 3 games of the season, this past season, but unfortunately, a little too little, too late. You have to know when to get rid of that ball. He would have avoided a lot of fumbles. He would have avoided a lot of hard hits. He probably would have got a lot more calls if he was able to hold on to that ball and get rid of it. In any event, that's not something we're going to have to worry about with Caleb Williams. So I'm pleased. I can't wait to actually see it in action.
Can I say something right quick? Leonidas and Hendricks, man, listen. I know how you guys look, man. We welcome you guys as family around here. We're trying to move the ball and show support to the quarterback that we're probably going to have. It doesn't do you any good to constantly kick the quarterback that we had in the Stones. Man, why do you keep doing that? Be civil in the chat. People don't want to hear that, man. If you want to be in here and be a part of the conversation, you're welcome. But to constantly keep kicking this cat in the balls, what is that about, man? That's unnecessary, man. Please. If you can't stop doing that, man, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Please. Let's be civil. Let's stay on topic with what we're talking about. We're talking about the pros of Caleb. Can we stay along the line of those conversations? How about we do that? But Brian, you have any thoughts about what I just said?
There's not too much that I could add. Caleb, what little bit that I've seen, and granted, I haven't watched every game or every throw. The Notre Dame game was the first game that I seen. Obviously, that didn't turn out too well for him. But the kid does have a quick release. He also he's a pass first type guy. I think with his personality, and this isn't a knock on anybody, Justin was a good soldier, did what he was told. I think down the line, Caleb's going to be the type person, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, this play with what the defense has given me, no, I'm going to do this instead. The Jim McMahon mindset. And that may, in all honesty, that may be what this team needed or needs. And with that, I'll send it off to J2K.
Yeah, I think what's special about Caleb is ball placement. And whether it's in structure or out of structure, it's so perfect and keeps the receiver in stride. It's over the opposite shoulder of the defender. And a lot of these, when it's out of structure and he's throwing kind of wild from these different arm angle positions, he's doing that and he's still dropping the ball like into a bucket, which is incredibly impressive. And I also wanted to get away from the out of structure stuff is what he has done in structure. When you look at just that tape, I know a lot of his wow plays, exciting plays come from him running around all over the field, but just his simple in structure plays where he just gets the ball out, fires it in. It's quick release. He's throwing a dart, great placement. He really does have everything you want in a college quarterback. And I just really quickly wanted to speak about when we're comparing quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has never played a down in the NFL. And we're not comparing them saying one is better than the other. we're comparing traits and types of abilities. So, please hold your arguments about, who is good and who sucks and all this kind of stuff, because the focus really should be on Caleb Williams going forward. Justin Fields was a Chicago Bear. We supported him then. He's the Pittsburgh Steeler, and we're going to support Caleb Williams.
And that being said, man, this, it's some of the stuff in the chat is ridiculous sometimes. But listen, it's easy when I never looked at that kid and said, you know what, he's not a fit here. He wouldn't work here. Nope. I just thought that we had something and he should build around it. But since we didn't, all we got to do is see what the good traits about him are and how they might translate. And I'm telling you guys now, that ability to be able to release that ball lightning quick and get the quick game. Let me just speak to that first. That's a pro, big time pro, because in the quick game, you have to have that in the NFL in order to keep defenses off you, to keep blitzes from, teams from heavy blitzing. You got to be able to execute in that style of play. That was a deficiency in Justin Fields' game. He's going to give us a plus in that area. That's already a monumental jump in what you will see on Sundays for us. Him having the ability to get that ball out fast and get it in the hands of playmakers, it's going to be a huge jump. It's going to be a huge jump. I mean, in ways that with guys like Swift around, Keenan Allen, who operates really well in the slot, DJ, who operates really well in the slot, just getting the ball to him really fast. DJ is strong in ways where you get that thing to him early and he gets a little bit of momentum. It's hard to tackle that guy. It's really hard to tackle that guy. Cole Kmet in the quick game, if he can beat a guy early. I mean, Gerald Everett. There is reason to be extremely optimistic with this quarterback and the stuff that he can bring to the table that, we didn't have last year. And he's got a built team around him with the offensive coordinator that's good at pass pro, good at scheming guys open in blitz heavy situations, rub routes, picks, just doing things that you need to do as a coordinator to give your quarterback the best opportunity to get the ball out of his hand to a playmaker to go make a play. We've got all of that infrastructure there with a quarterback who's built right. I like his build. That's another great pro. He's built right for NFL competition. He's stocky, he's strong, and he's got fight in him. All this stuff about, all the other stuff that people are saying, I'm not even going to mention it right now. It's not worth conversation to me. I don't care anything about that. Any of that stuff doesn't mean a whole lot to me. He's going to have to face the media, and he's going to have to do what he needs to do with the media. I'm not backing off that. I think he's going to run into a brick wall with Chicago media eventually, especially if he doesn't win fast. I won't run away from that. But if he wins fast, they'll be his best friends. But the truth is, do we have an upgrade at quarterback? I think that's what everybody want to know. I'd say yes. Is Caleb ready for the smoke of NFL competition, mainly in the NFC North? That's to be determined. In fact, him being an upgrade over Justin Fields is to be determined. I will correct myself. But I do look forward to what his assets are and his strengths bring to the table. I think it's something different than what Justin Fields brought. I think it can be an upgrade to what Justin Fields brought. That part about him being ready for the smoke in the NFC, he's got to understand, kids. Everybody, he's going to be the number one pick in the league. Everybody's going to want a piece of it. Everybody. And he doesn't help in any by him being eccentric the way he is and bringing attention to himself. Everybody's going to want a piece of that guy. How he responds to it is my only question about it. What do you say?
Well, here's what I say. 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, beat the Packers, make the playoffs, win the North, win the Super Bowl. That's all I got to say. Not necessarily in that order. That's
Yeah,
it,
win the
man.
Super Bowl first.
Yes, win the Super Bowl first. Pass for 2 yards. And you know what I mean? That's what I got to say, man. I just want the kid to do the things that we've always wanted a quarterback to do for this team. It's been a long time coming. There's a lot of animosity as far as previous quarterbacks and what this team has done around them, selecting them, how they selected them, how they developed them, or how they did not. Let's all put all of that stuff to the side and just sort of look towards the future. If we do, things I can say is I don't expect this quarterback, not to throw the ball away when the play's dead. I don't expect this quarterback to really be worried about testing tight windows in the NFL, right? Like, these are things that I'm not worried about. I'm only worried about really whether they can protect him, whether they can provide the weapons for him, and I think they have, and whether they can scheme it up and whether he can figure out what defenses are in the NFL quickly. So my arrow's up on Caleb Williams. My arrow's up on the Chicago Bears across the board. Let's see what they do in this upcoming draft, guys. Brian?
My hope. Well, I agree with you. The Bears, in general, as a whole, however you want to word it, it is looking up. I could, be mad about Caleb Williams, which it's not his fault what the Bears did. But I want, if he is the pick, that's who I'm going to support. Whatever his thing is or whatever, if it's different than mine, so be it. There's 8 billion individuals. I want the Bears, to win a Super Bowl. As far as expectation, better than last year. They've improved on players. They've improved on coaching. I'm sure. Stat wise, I 4,000 yards is like 2 dead flies to me. It don't matter. If the team wins, they win. And whether it's by the pass or the run or killer defense, I would like for it to be any and all phases and not just dominant on one. I've lived through those years enough. Just and stay out of the police blotter. That's what give me 100% effort each game, team wise, and stay out of the police blotter, and I'm a happy guy.
Go ahead, J2K.
You know what's got me excited about all of this? It's not just the offense that Caleb's walking into, it's the defense he's going to be playing against. And we've got such a good secondary, linebackers, like veteran, intelligent, smart linebackers. And I know that the defensive line doesn't have as big of an impact in practice. It's really linebacker secondary. But man, and they're coming after him. So I love that Jalen Johnson is like, don't bring that Hollywood attitude here. And, we're going to come after you. So, iron sharpens iron. I'm very excited about what Caleb's going to face in these defenses that are on our team first. And then you're going to get to preseason defenses, which, they can be very generic, but still we can see, can Caleb run simple plays? Can he make a quick first read, throw that slant when he sees it, throw the hot route? Getting into the season, this is a division of good defenses. And I think that our defense being as good as it is, I think we have a playoff caliber top 5, potentially top 5 defense going into the season, coming after Caleb, practice after practice, week after week. It's just going to make him even better.
No question about it, man. I think, man, listen, and I'm not being a homer here. I'm just thinking about what I know and I went to right back to the Seattle offense of the last 2 years before we did the show. I was watching that all this morning and most of the afternoon, and I know that if Shane Waldron can do that, and I'm not saying Geno Smith is a lesser quarterback. I'm not. No, I'm not going to put him down like that. Geno's a seasoned pro. Geno's a seasoned pro, and he's worthy of praise. If he can do what he did for Geno Smith, keep him clean, give him time to throw the ball, with Caleb's ability to throw that ball quickly and find and not do what J2K was saying earlier and hold on to that ball too long, looking for something a little later on, and get it to the guy that's open, crossing his face, drop it off and let those players make plays. Scheme it up right, get them good pass protection with the running game that we have and the defense that we have. I am telling you, I think we're gonna shock some people. I think we're gonna shock some people quickly. It all depends on how fast he's able to accept what's coming, be able to adjust and be pliable to what Caleb Williams brings to the table. Adjust to it, fit it to him. Fit it to him. Don't be rigid. Don't be rigid and trying to get plays off that you really want to call. Fit it to him what makes him comfortable. If he does that, if Waldron does that, those guys are going to do the rest. Get him clean throws, get him good looks, get the ball out of his hand quickly. He's got the quick release to do that. We've got the defense to carry him. We've got the defense to keep him in games. I think we're going to surprise teams early. I say we're going to surprise teams early, and hopefully they can maintain that through the season, because teams that come out early tend to fizzle out late. I hope that a fast start finishes the same way. You know, they keep building throughout the season, so it's just not like a flash in the pan kind of. They can build off of the things that they do well, and so that's what I'm hoping for. Don't overwhelm the guy with too much early. Get him in situations that he likes. RPO mesh concepts, like we were talking about, malleable. Be that. Be pliable to what he does, and I think you'll see success early. Just be that. Just be pliable to what he does well. Don't force him into situations that's not comfortable. If it's not looking good with him under center and running that kind of play action stuff, don't do it so fast. Wait to install some of that stuff. Get him comfortable early. Get him easy throws. Get him in a rhythm, and I think everything else will take care of itself. The defense is there. The weapons are there. I just want to see what they do with the offensive line. Are they solid? Will they get another tackle? I feel good at center. Will they get another tackle? Or is that going to be a headache for Caleb Williams throughout the season at left tackle? I want to see what happens there. But how about you guys in the chat? I think that's a realistic way to look at the season. And I'm not being a homer. That's just what I can foresee happening. And so I think if you wanted to have me give you a reasonable expectation for this year, I would say I think we can win 10 games. I think we can win 10 games. And I haven't even seen the schedule, but I think the team is built just well enough. And with Caleb's skill set, even if we don't have the best offensive line in the world, his ability to be able to get that ball out quickly will probably help us in ways that we haven't seen before. So anybody want to speak to that before we do shout outs and get ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I have to see the schedule of myself, just like you're saying. I would have to see that schedule, get an understanding of who we're fighting, who we're up against early, to get an understanding as to how many wins we might pull out this season. B, to get an understanding as to whether he's going to have a little bit of success early on or not. I would hope that he can. I would also hope that hopefully there's some easier games to start things out, just so he can get his feet wet. Trial by fire is better when the fire is lower. You know what I mean? Like, make things a little bit easier on the kid coming out, just so he can sort of grow into it. And as he grows into it, then he can really start to dissect teams, if that's what he winds up being able to do. but it'll be a while. It'll take a little bit of time to get him there. Hopefully, not too long. Brian.
Like I said, I think they could win the North, but man, a lot of things are going to have to fall into place. I mean, every team is improving with signing veterans and draft picks, but then they probably weaken in some spots. Again, any game that I watch, as a team, give me an effort, 100% effort, and stay out of the place plotter. I mean, I know I'm just parroting what I said the last time, but I mean that's important to me. Back in the early 2000s, me being in Indiana, I'm a Pacer fans, and they had a championship team. You kept reading about the guys firing guns at a strip bar, getting in a fight in front of this bar, blah, blah, blah. And then you had the Malice at the Palace, the fight in the game with Detroit. And it decimated that team, a team that should have won multiple championships, at least one. And it just destroyed them. So that's what the effort and stay out of trouble. How damn hard is it? I kind of do. I mean, I get in trouble online, but I don't get in trouble with the law. If my old dumbass can do it, surely these college-educated young guys can do it.
Yeah, are you talking about, man? Go ahead, JTK.
Yeah, so 10 wins. I'm curious, what is the record for the first overall draft pick, the team winning record the next year? I wonder if 10 wins is actually like a first of a kind. And I see that. I do see that with this team. I see a playoff caliber defense. I see enough on offense to score maybe on average 17 points, and a defense that could on average keep us around 14. Maybe that's optimistic. And then, so I do have a lot of faith in this team. I do have some optimism. Before we go to shout outs and all that kind of stuff, there is something I wanted to say about someone talking in the chat about Andy Reid was only successful with star quarterbacks. Andy Reid took Alex Smith from the 49ers, who questioned whether he wanted to play football or could play football at a high level. And he not only convinced him to play football, but not only did that, but made him a playoff quarterback, quality quarterback. And not only did that, but the only reason that Patrick Mahomes started that final game was because they had won enough games to get a bye in the playoffs so they could sit their starter. So Andy Reid, this talk that coaching doesn't matter, scheme doesn't matter, it's only star players that matter, that's baloney. Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame head coach. He's a Hall of Fame coordinator. I've seen it in his Super Bowl wins when they were down to the Eagles, and I said, I guarantee you, Andy Reid's gonna pull something out. He knows what he's doing. He's setting up this offense, setting up this defense, and sure enough, they end up winning the game. And so, yeah, the whole Andy Reid is not a good head coach, and only star quarterbacks have played with him, and only had said that's baloney, you guys. Leonidas, I'm talking about you.
Let me
hold on,
Brian. Well, let me go ahead and speak to this because King Buka World, thank you for your contribution, King. I appreciate you. He's saying this is funny, man, because quite honestly, man, let me speak to this directly. And I think Leonidas came in, Leonidas 3.0. Man, listen, he said 6-7 is score loss people because of that. Man, I don't give a damn. We're building a great community over here, a great positive community of Bears fans that can come in here and be absolutely positive and not be so cantankerous and just toxic for no damn reason. Guess what? people have the option to either accept you into their community or not. I'm gonna flat out tell you right now, if you come in here with the intent of being a toxic member of this community that everybody is a part of growing, not just us on this channel, on this panel, but everybody in the chat and everybody that subscribes to what we do and view our content, everybody is a part of that. And so if we choose not to have your toxic ass in the show because of your toxic ass behavior, damn right we reserve the right to get rid of your ass. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And so if you can't be in here and be at least, decent and just have your energy better, man, damn, I'm not going to put up with it, man. I told you, my frequency is high. I vibe high. I don't jive well with people that come in with negative energy. It gets old to me, King, too, so I appreciate you. It gets old to me, too, and I will throw your ass out of here. I'm sorry. That means you lose a couple subs, so be it. We'll gain 5 or 10 because your ass is gone. I promise you that. And so if you can't be in here and be decent, then your ass is gone. I'm sorry. I'm going to ban you. I'll try to give you a timeout, but if you come back with that same energy, I'm going to get rid of you for the sake of the community that we are building over here. It's not fair to them to have you come in here and be absolute buttholes when you just feel like being that today. Go do that somewhere else, man. We don't want it around here. And so let's give some shout outs before I start really cutting into people. Go ahead, kids.
All right. So shout out Leonidas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Shout outs to to Hendrix and Don Burr. It's funny, it's like noticeably in the chat, some of the heads were like, you know what? Like, I'd almost rather kick it with Don Burr than hang out with these two guys, even though they're Bears fans. You know what? To both of you, it makes no difference to me. Hey, Justin's not on the team. Don't sweat it. It doesn't make any difference. Nobody really, you know what I mean? If we're talking about Justin, it's 100 billion% past tense at this point. So don't worry about it. We're all for Caleb, whether we like it or not. You know what I mean? If it's sour grapes for me, then it's sour grapes for me. At this point, not sour grapes. I think now, and I've thought for quite some time, the kid has mechanics and those mechanics are going to make things a heck of a lot different come September. So I'm excited to see what that actually translates to on the field at Soldier Field and for the Chicago Bears. I can't wait to see what it actually shakes up to be, and if they can either bolster that offensive line and or the defensive line, then we've got some real serious football to watch in September, guys. So I'm ready to go. Outside of that, No Maniacs 100 strong on the chat on a Sunday. Thank you, appreciate it. Bear down, Brian. What do you got to say, brother?
Well, thanks everybody for watching the show. I'm sorry about my internet being crappy and my computer. I am not in the converting anybody to my way of thinking. That's not what I'm about. I learn by listening to the guys on the panel and reading the guys in the chat. It helps me out. And I'd say just about every time, something has been said that, hey, wait a minute, that's a different outlook. Maybe that is better than what I thought. As far as being negative, if everybody's got 24 hours. If you want to spend it bitching, damning, belittling to make yourself look better, you have a right. Just be prepared that you're probably going to spend a lot of time alone. And with that, have a safe, blessed evening, week. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Let's hope that Mr. Brian's internet connection is more cooperative. Love you guys.
Go ahead, J2K.
Yeah, and thanks to you guys. Thanks, Nomad, for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here and continue this journey with you guys, talking Bears football. And to all the chat, You guys are all my Bear brothers and sisters out there. Always loved hanging out with you guys in the chat. Now I get to talk with you a little bit more, so I appreciate that opportunity. And just to say, hey, I know some people confuse honesty and truth with opinions and predictions. Regardless of that, just be respectful to each other. We all want the Bears to succeed. We just see different ways of achieving that. So know that we're all here, brothers and sisters, all here to spend our time to talk about a team that we love with the people that we enjoy talking with and make it constructive and make friends, not enemies.
That's right, Don. Show your damn solidarity. You too. And by the
Well
way,
done.
hey, listen. I want to speak to Hendricks and Leonidas directly. Listen, man. I want you to know, I'm a super positive guy, man. I'm a super easygoing guy. I'm easy to get along with. I told you, and I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep repeating it until everybody gets where I'm coming from. And I'm challenging everybody to raise your frequency for your own sake. Why? The paradigm of this planet is changing. Positivity, be somewhere in the frequency where that around, just be around that. Be around that and avoid finding reasons to be negative, being in a negative space. I mean, that goes with your mentality and the way you go about your day-to-day life. And the way you practice that is doing it every single day, avoiding some of the negativity. And I'm not just talking about Leonidas and Hendricks specifically. I'm talking about everybody. I'm just talking about when you come in here and expect a clean, nice, cool show. We can have differences of opinions and disagree with each other, but just being nasty for the sake of being nasty, you got to understand what kind of community we're trying to build here. And for the sake of the people who freely gave their subscriptions, freely give their contributions, and freely come here for that kind of energy, we owe it to them to keep and maintain that. And I'm not trying to attack those two guys, so don't take it personal. Just challenge yourself when you come in here. See if you can be a little bit more positive. I don't think it's that hard to be optimistic. You know, you find some reason to be pessimistic and you want to speak about that and say it in the chat, that's fine. But when every time I turn around, it's just ugly comment after ugly comment after ugly comment, that's only so much of that I'm willing to tolerate for my sake and the sake of the people that come here for a good show and want to engage in a good chat. That's just as important as us doing the show and listening to us and watching us is the people in the chat creating a good community and building that. So I think it's equally important in my opinion. And I'm not trying to pick on you guys. I'm just challenging you guys to come in here with a little bit better energy. And I'm pretty sure, I'm certain, as you can see when you make comments that make sense according to the topic that we're talking about, we'll put them up there. No problem at all. It's nothing personal. Just challenging you guys to be a little bit more positive when you come in here. I want to think different of you than some of the comments that you put in the chat sometimes. You know, that's my thing right there is that I don't want to think that of you every time I see your name in the chat. And so that's my challenge to you guys, man. Just try to change your energy when you come in here, have a little bit better vibe, man. Let's see if we can get along a whole lot better than we have been, man. And just not make the chat toxic. That's just my challenge to you guys. But love you guys. Let me give a little special shout out to a guy I met when I was in Atlanta. I know I made the statement, I think last week, and Coach got on me about that because I was just like, Atlanta's a crap city. And I gave my reasons to why I said that. And I think the people that move into Atlanta make Atlanta it's kind of intolerable at times, man, because people are extremely plastic in Atlanta. That means fake. And, you know, sometimes it's not such a good experience. But when you meet true Atlanta natives, they call AT aliens. That's when you get the real sense of the spirit of Atlanta. And so, you know, a couple times when I was there, you know, I was doing music when I was there. I make music, do a lot of beats, and you guys are gonna find that out pretty soon. You know, the quality of the stuff that I do. But I met Rico Wade who is a producer in Organized Noise. He's responsible pretty much for Outkast, the Goody Mob, for anybody that's in the hip hop. He was integral in bringing those guys along. Without him, there'd be no Outkast and Goody Mob. And so he passed away. So let me tell you real quickly how I met him. I was at the Crow's Nest, and that's I think that's in East Point. I believe it's in East Point. It's a more mature bar. I didn't like the place. I really didn't want to go there, but somebody requested that I come there and I'd be able to meet some people there, right? And so I get into the parking lot. So anybody from Atlanta, you would know this this record company. It's big in Atlanta. It's called Big Oomp Records. Big in Atlanta. I never heard of them until I moved there. And so I ride up bumping some of my music, right? And it's bumping. As soon as I pull up, the Big Oomp advertising van pulls up next to me. Hey, man, what's that you playing in the car, man? What's that? Some music I just made. Hey, you want to sell it? I was like, what you want to buy? You know, basically. And it was like 3 or 4 tracks on there out of about 7. I was like, you know, it's all on one little flash drive. I'll buy the whole thing for $5. I mean, $5,000. And so I sold them the beats. Sold them the beats for $5,000. At the same time, guess who's coming up beelining at me in the parking lot? Rico Wade. Rico Wade. And he's telling me, he is like, cuz, I don't know what that is, but that's nice. He said, what you do that stuff on? I said, I got a Triton keyboard. He said, oh, no, ain't no way you did that on no key. You did all that on the keyboard. And he was just going crazy. And I was just like, man, that's all I got. He was like, dog, I got it.
That's all you got. The Korg Triton's like the best machine you could possibly have.
Hey, you know, he's an MPC guy. And so he was putting me on the MPC before I had the MPC. And at that time it was a 3,000 or 5,000, I can't remember. He's like, I'm gonna hook you up. And this is at the time before Future before he came like the boom artist out there. He said, I got I thought he said nephew, but I ended up being his cousin. He said, I got a nephew or cousin that I'm trying to work on. So when I get some time, man, I'm gonna give you my information. Gave me his number, gave me his card. I put it in my phone, called him one day. It was actually him. And I felt good about being in Atlanta because I had him as a connect. And seen him again at a party. He's just like, man, I ain't had time. I've been trying to get my cousin together, my nephew together, blah, 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 blah. And so it never happened. But what I want to say is the fact that someone of his caliber saw a person like me who was just on the streets with some beats in the car, bumping them, and saw enough about me to say, you know what, man, I'm going to extend myself to you. I ain't going to ask you for nothing, but he wanted to get me an MPC. He said, I got an MPC. I'm going to just give it to you. But we never got around to getting it. But that's when I knew, you know, you just haven't met the right people in Atlanta, Nomad. You just haven't met the right people. And when I met him, I started meeting more and more people that are originally from Atlanta. And it was absolutely the game changer that I needed. I seen Atlanta completely different. So I just wanted to give him that respect. You know, RIP to Rico Wade. I just wanted him to, you know, I don't know if anybody that cares about him will ever listen to this or see this, but in case they do, I just wanted them to know, his family to know how much respect I have for the way he approached me and the way he extended himself to me. He's a big figure, huge big figure, and I'm a small potato. And he didn't have to do that. And I respect that about Rico Wade. And rest in peace to Rico Wade. And I hope his family is, you know, will find some healing in his passing, man. I really appreciated him. And I just wanted you guys to know that, you know, some of the stuff that I do on the side that you're going to find out about. You know, Rico Wade was impressed with what I do, but we'll put it out there for you guys to judge me on his face, what you guys think about the stuff that I do. That's coming soon. But, yeah, before we get out of here, I got to leave you guys with these famous words. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Go down, y'all.
Whoa.
Boom.
Wait a minute. We might not even have Chris. Hold on. Hold up. You see the outro, kids? Because I got some crap going on. Hold on. I don't know what the hell's going on. Do you see the outro? Okay, so we're just gonna have to end the stream. No outro, guys. I'll say it one more time, you guys. Love, peace, and hair grease. We out. See you guys Monday.
Peace out.